learn how the units work, and then we will cover the basic accuracy techniques. How to use Object Snap, snaps the cursor in specific points of objects, the polar tracking, snaps lines in specific angles, and the ortho mode, to draw horizontal and vertical lines. Let's start with the units. I am going to type units and press Enter to open the Drawing Unit Settings window. In length, we can specify first the type of units. If we draw in metrical units, for example meters, millimeters or centimeters, we select decimal. For inches and feet, the most common are architectural and engineering units. In this tutorial, I will be using decimal units. And in precision, I choose 0, with no decimals. Now, the question is, am I going to use meters, millimeters or centimeters? First of all, it's important to know that the drawing system in AutoCAD is a dimensional. When I draw any object that measures 20, it's up to me to decide what is the unit of that value. For example, in this project for a floor plan, I choose the unit as millimeters, and I'm drawing the objects in real size. Basically, we only need to scale the drawing for printing purposes. Object Snap. This option is very important to draw with precision. Imagine we have a line here, and we want to draw a second line that continues the first one. When I use any drawing command, and if I move closer to this end, this indication of the endpoint appears and allows me to draw the second line starting exactly from that point. On the arrow next to Object Snap, I can see the snap modes. Here I can choose which ones I want to activate, according to my needs. If the Object Snap is off, these snap points don't show, and the objects that I draw can be unprecise. Polar tracking. This is also a very important function that you should activate. It snaps the lines when you want to draw them vertically and horizontally. So, let's start with the drawing commands. In this tutorial, I'm not going to teach you all of them because some are rarely used. I will be focusing just the ones I consider more important. Line. This is the most basic drawing tool. To draw a line, click on the icon, click for inserting the first point, then to draw a horizontal line, we move right, and when the polar tracking appears on the screen, we can insert a length that we desire. I type 200 and press Enter. After, I could continue drawing another line, or if I want to leave the command, I press the key Escape. To confirm that I draw the line correctly, I double-click on the object to open the Quick Properties window, and here you can find the length. In the next example, I'm going to draw these 3 lines. I click again on the icon Line, click for the first point, move horizontally, insert 100 and press Enter. Then I can draw a second line. This time I move up, and when I see the 90 degrees polar tracking, insert a length of 50. Then, as I don't want to continue drawing from this point, I press Escape. I'm going to draw the third line. Instead of clicking on the icon Line again, I can press Enter to reactivate the previous command used. Look to the command bar to notice it. Then the third line starts from this point, and as soon as I move closely, it snaps to the end point. If I click now, the new line starts exactly from this intersection. Now I can type 100. Line with an angle. In this example, First, I insert a line with length 100. Press Enter to turn on line, click for the first point, move right, type 150 and press Enter. Then I move the pointer in this way, type the length 100. And now, instead of Enter, I press the button Tab to switch to the angle. If I move the pointer around, you can notice that the length is locked, so I just need to insert 30 and press Enter. Polyline. A polyline is an object formed by several line segments. To draw a polyline, I click on the icon next to the command line. Click for the first point. Then, I draw these 3 segments. Oh, here I started typing the value, but the line is not horizontal. I can press Escape to undo the action, no problem. When I finish, press Escape. Next example. Here I have to draw a closed polyline, which means that all the objects are connected. Press Enter to turn on polyline again and start, for example, in this corner. Here I'm going to use the ortho mode because it's easier to draw only vertical and horizontal lines. Okay, as this should now be easier for you to make it, I will fast forward a bit. To connect the last line with the start point, I can type CL for close and press Enter. So, the main difference between lines and polylines is, when I draw these objects using the command line, they are all independent. If I do the same thing using polyline, it creates a single object. How to convert lines in a polyline? It's very easy. I can use the command join, type join or the shortcut J, press Enter, select all the lines and press Enter again. This is now a polyline. Rectangle. This is in fact a closed polyline, but to draw this kind of objects, it's faster. Click on the command. Click for the first point. Then we place the opposite corner or type the relative coordinates according to the first point. For example, I type 20 for the x-axis, then I press Tab and type 30 for the y-axis. Here you have the result. Circle. To draw a circle, we can activate a command located next to polyline. However, if we click on the arrow below, we can find several ways to draw circles. I click on the first one, Center Radius. I click to place the center, then move the pointer and I can either click to draw the circle or enter the radius. I insert 50 and press Enter. Second example, Center Diameter. Here I use a similar process, but this time I type the diameter. Insert a circle by specifying 2 points, which are the 2 extremities of the diameter. 3 point. Here we choose 3 points and Autocad generates the only possible circle here. Tangent, tangent, radius. We click on 2 lines, then we insert a radius. The circle is drawn in order to be tangent to the lines. Tangent, tangent, tangent. There is only one possible circle that is tangent to 3 lines at the same time. Now you have the result. Arc. If you are not sure what is an arc, it's a segment of a circle that also means it has a radius as assigned. To draw an arc, I can click on the icon there, and like the command circle, if I click on the arrow below, I can see all these ways. In this tutorial, I just show you some of them. 3-point arc. I define 3 points, and the only possible arc is generated. Start center angle. With this method, I specify first the start point, then the center, and finally an angle for the arc. Start center end. Here I choose a start point, then a center, which also defines the radius. An important tip. Arcs are generated by default in an anti-clockwise direction, but if you want to change it, hold the Ctrl key. Finally, click for the endpoint. Start end radius. In this situation, I specify 2 points and then I define a radius, for example, of 80. Hatch. This fills enclosed areas with a single color, a pattern or a gradient. I am going to explain to you. To activate Hatch, I click on the command, and at the same moment a temporary tab for hatch creation appears in the ribbon. I click on an enclosed area, for example between these two polylines, and press enter. It's simple, as you can see. Now I select the hatch object, and in this panel you can change the pattern. I click on solid, and that means I fill with a single color only. Also, I can click on this icon to get access to more patterns. Now, let's click on this one. And this is important. We can't see any difference unless we zoom in here. Aha! So, when this happens, we have to increase the scale in this tab. I'm going to type 20, and now it looks good. So, in these arrows I can increase or decrease the size as I like. Then, you can explore the patterns by yourself. There are more options here. In this bar, you can change the angle. And in the first one, the transparency. I can also apply a gradient in hatch selection. For example, I choose this one. And on this panel, I can change the colors. I want to show you a last tip. When selecting objects, I can fill several enclosed areas and press enter just at the end. By doing this, they act as a single object. Move and copy. If I want to move objects to a different place, click on Move, select the object, specify the base point, and click in a different place. The base point determines the position where we pick up the objects. For example, look how it moves when I choose a different point. The command copy is similar to move. The difference is that it keeps the original objects. Look at this example. Let's copy this rectangle to the next space. I am going to specify this corner as the base point, then I click on the next one to copy the object there. A good thing about this command is that I can keep copying the objects until I press escape. Copy objects in array mode. If you look at the prompt sentence, when I select the objects to copy them, it says here array. I type A to use that option. Then, select the number of objects to array. I choose 4, for example, and they will have the same distances between them. When I type 4, that also includes the original object. Rotate. This is used to rotate objects around a specific point. In this example, I am going to click on the icon Rotate, select the objects, and now I have to specify a point where I can rotate the object around. Click on the arc center, and you can understand how it rotates. If I select this corner, it would rotate around there. Simple. However, if I have non-orthogonal objects and I want to rotate them to have vertical and horizontal lines, I can see that this way won't be effective. So, at the command bar, you can see I can enter a reference. Then I draw a reference line between these 2 points. And I can turn back the drawing to the previous position. That's how it looks now. Mirror. The command mirror is used to place objects in a symmetrical position. Let's mirror this triangle here. I click on the icon. Select the polyline. Press Enter. Then I have to draw a mirror line from the middle of this distance. I place the pointer at this endpoint. Move right and type 50. I need to draw a vertical mirror to place the window in the position that I want. Also, it's not important the length of the mirror line, just imagine it continue infinitely. Click, and finally I have to decide if I want to erase the original objects or not. I choose No. Trim. This tool is used to erase segments of objects between intersections. Let's try it. I am going to draw 3 lines here randomly. The point is that they intersect each other. Activate the command. Select all the lines. Press Enter. Then I click to erase the parts between intersections. Of course, this process only works for the lines I select. If here I would select only 2 lines, then I erase the segments according to those objects. Extend. In the arrow next to Trim, I can switch to Extend. With this command, I can extend objects towards an intersection. First, I select not the objects to extend, but those that will be the boundaries. Press Enter. Then I want to extend this line towards the first object. I can select more boundaries if I want. Press Enter. Then, if I want to extend this line to the object above, I click on this side. By moving the pointer to the opposite side, I extend the line towards the rectangle. The command Extend can be useful to extend multiple objects at the same time, like what happens in this situation. Fillet. The command Fillet turns corners in a slight curve. It's very commonly used in Autocad. I am going to click on the icon Fillet. Then the prompt asks me to select the object. But when we use this tool for the first time, we usually have the radius set up as 0, and consequently, nothing happens after specifying the objects. So we have to click on Radius there, or type R, and press Enter. Insert 20 for the radius. Now I can select the first line, then the second one. The order is not important, and as you see, an arc was created in the corner with radius 20. Let's see the next example. I am going to show you to use Fillet for all the corners in this polyline. It's really simple. Activate the command. Now it says radius 20. I leave it like that, but this time I want to use the option Polyline. Finally, I select the polyline, and you can see that the command applied to all the corners at the same time. Chamfer. The command chamfer works in a similar way as the command fillet, but instead of an arc, it creates a line. We have to specify 2 distances in order to draw it. To find chamfer, click on the arrow next to fillet. Now, the first thing here is to specify the distances. I click there or type D. For the first distance, I choose 20, and for the second, 40. Select the first object. Here you have to respect the order if you want to draw the line correctly. Then click on the second object, and the action is completed. Important tip: for both commands fillet and chamfer, by default the original corners are erased. However, if you want to keep them, click on the option Trim and then change it to No Trim. You can see the difference. Scale. We can use scale to resize objects. Let's learn how this command works. I click on the icon Scale. Then, I want to resize this polyline with the scale factor. That's the default option for this command. Choose a base point. Now, it prompts me to insert a scale factor. I'm going to type 0.5, and all the dimensions are converted to half size. Scale with a reference. Look at this situation. I need to resize this door to fit in this space. I activate the command Scale again. Click on the door and press Enter. Select a base point. Then, at the prompt sentence, it says Specify scale factor or copy reference. I click on Reference. Basically, I'm going to specify a distance between those 2 points. I click on them and I insert 870 for the new length. Finally, I should be able to move the door to fit in the space. Another way of using reference is, instead of typing the reference length, I click on 2 points. Click on the option Points. Then the first point is this one, and the second in the other side. Offset. This is a very useful tool to draw parallel lines or inscribe polylines or circles. Look at this example. I'm going to draw the same inscribed polyline here, at a distance of 30 from the original. Click on the command Offset, this one. For the offset distance, specify 30. Click on the polyline, move the pointer inside and click again to place the new object. Then I can press Escape to exit the command, or select another object. Let's click again on the polyline. Keep the same distance, but this time I offset the object to the opposite direction. In this way. Now let's look to the next example. I switch on Offset again, but this time I'm going to use the mode Through. When it prompts me to specify the offset distance, one of the options in the command bar is Through. I click on it. Then I want to offset this line, but instead of a specific distance, I click on certain points. Then I select the object again to offset it on the next corner. Multiple. With this mode, I can just offset an object several times without selecting it again. I can just offset an object several times without selecting it again. Now let's look to a situation in which I notice that several people are struggling. On the drawing at the left, the objects are lines. I'm going to apply offsets to them with them as the offset distance. And this is what happens. And usually that's not what people expect. However, if you do the same process to a polyline, the result is very different. Array. The command array is used to copy objects in a pattern. If we click on the arrow next to the array command, we can see that there are three modes for array: rectangle array, path array, and polar array. Let's start with rectangle array. We have to select the objects, press enter, and as you see, the objects were copied in a matrix way, and the temporary tab to edit array objects has opened in the ribbon. Here we can specify the number of columns and rows. Also, set up the distances between the objects. For example, the rectangle array can be useful for elevation drawings like this one. I want to keep the same number of columns and arrows, but I want to change the distances between the objects. This blank is for the horizontal distance between two array objects, which I want to specify it as 5000. The vertical distance between two windows is actually the floor height. I put for it 2600. Polar array. Here I multiply objects around the circle. I click on Polar Array, select this little circle, then I have to specify a radius where the objects will be placed around. I hover this circle, and the Object Snap Mode Center appeared. I click on it, and as you see, the objects are placed around the center. On the Array tab, this panel here didn't show up for rectangular array. On the first tab, I can change the number of items. For example, let's put 8 and click in a different place. And the angle between two objects automatically changes in order to distribute them equally along the circle. Stretch. With this command, I can stretch objects from a place that I specify. I am going to show you how to solve this example. I click on the command. I select only the objects I want to stretch. As I don't want to move this side, I'll keep it unselected. Then, I click on the point here to stretch the objects to the right. Finally, I insert a length 50, for example. This command is not hard to use, but it requires a bit of practice in the beginning. So it's normal if you don't get everything at the first time. Example 2. This time I'm going to stretch from here, but the main thing I want to show you is that you can extend the dimension lines also. I select all these objects, press enter. Click here for the base point, and you can see the dimension line resizing. Look what happens when I move the pointer up and down. I'm going to extend this 100. Explode. This command is used for dividing compound objects in simple ones. For example, if we explode the polyline, it will be converted to lines or arcs. If we explode the block, we kind of downgrade it to the original object at the time we created it. Applying this in an array, I activate Explode, and you can see it makes each pattern separate. So, it's all for now. Thank you very much for watching, and subscribe to CAD in Black to receive notifications of new updates. There are Revit and Autocad tutorials, but in the future, maybe you will find some more. Alright, keep in touch and see you next time.